all hell will break out. What does that mean?
Well, here's how I would be. Let me talk to the virtual signalers who are going to be popping all over this thing in the next couple of days. First thing it means, all the humanitarian aid is going to get cut off. That's going to get stopped immediately. Israel controls the electricity and the fuel. That's going to get shut off next because the Hamas crossed a legal border, killed 1,200 people and kidnapped hundreds. Israel has no responsibility to keep that power and water going. 3, we're talking about the immediate deportation of all Gazans, followed by immediate intensive military operations from the air, from the ground, special operations. But this time there's going to be no Biden to hold them back, which means that Israel's going to go into every tunnel, Israel's going to go into every structure, and they're going to clear out those terrorists. And then we're talking about the potential resettlement of Jewish settlements in Gaza. It's going to be absolutely aggressive, Trace.
You just watched my hit on Fox News with Trace Gallagher on Fox News at Night, where we broke down Trump's ultimatum to Hamas. Now I want to dive a little deeper. Trump laid it out. Return the hostages by Saturday at noon or all hell breaks loose. But what does that actually mean? What happens if Hamas doesn't comply? What are Israel's next moves? And how is the Arab world reacting behind the scenes? So the Israeli War Cabinet met overnight, and an official decision was made that Israel is going to stick with Trump's timeline, adopting his ultimatum. That means if Hamas misses the deadline, Israel has the green light to respond however it sees fit. Here's a couple of the key pieces that they came out with. The cabinet's top priority: rescuing as many hostages alive as possible. And if that fails, the war escalates. And according to my Israeli sources, the resumption of fighting is not a question if, it's a question of when. What we don't know yet is the exact scope of the response. But here's what's being discussed: a far more aggressive military campaign, minimal humanitarian aid, and no more interference from the Biden's U.S. administration or the United Nations. Now, Israel has options. Even if Hamas ignores the deadline, we're going to see which one they choose.
The things that we can do right away is take 2,000 children that are either cancer children or in very ill state to Jordan as quickly as possible, and then wait for, I think, the Egyptians to present their plan on how we can work with the president to work on the Gaza challenges.
Now let's talk about Jordan, because this is the first major crack in the Arab world's position on Gaza. King Abdullah, under pressure from Trump, just agreed to take 2,000 Palestinian children, and that's not because he wants to. It's because Trump is turning the screws. For decades, the Arab world has used the Palestinians as a political weapon and pawns against Israel. But when it comes to actually taking them in, they panic. Jordan knows that every time Palestinians move into the country, whatever country they move into, they destabilize it. It happened in Lebanon in the 80s. It happened in Kuwait. And in 1970, they almost overthrew the Jordanian government. So King Hussein's not stupid. He knows they're trouble. But Trump controls the money, and the U.S. gives Jordan $1.45 billion a year. And when Trump applies pressure, Abdullah has no choice but to play along. And so this is just the beginning. Egypt is next. The Gulf states are watching. Gaza's future starting to shift, and it may no longer be Israel's problem. The Aaron Cohen Show is sponsored by the Cherries Deep Concealment Holster. This is the same holster I trained Keanu on for the John Wick franchise. This thing runs BWB, or below the waistband, means there is zero digging into your gut, and this holster will never fall off you because it runs below the waistband. Also, lightning fast draw with just a little bit of training. Hit the link down in the description to order one of these bad boys. They ship next day. Zero lead time with these things now. They ship next day. Lightning fast draw. Fits all double stacked 9 and 40 Glocks. Fully adjustable clip and ambidextrous lefties. You're covered. Hit the link down in the description. Grab one of these bad boys. And finally, carry with comfort and total concealment. So question, if Hamas ignores Trump's deadline, what happens next? The way I see it is Israel has several options. And right now, they're weighing the best course of action. And here's what we could see. This is what I spoke to on Trace on Fox. First, the humanitarian aid could get shut down. Israel doesn't owe the Palestinians anything. This means no more UN shipments, no more fuel, no more medical supplies that can all get stolen by Hamas. Israel knows Hamas is hijacking the aid, stealing their food for their terror fighters and using hospitals to fuel power for the tunnels. Cutting it off would put Hamas under extreme pressure. Second, electricity and water could be shut off. Right now, Israel supplies Gaza's utilities. And if they decide to pull the plug, Hamas would lose communications, tunnel operations, and supply chains. What other country in the world provides electricity for its enemies? Third, the military campaign will likely intensify, and I'm talking about a possible increase in airstrikes, targeting the remaining leadership, whatever's left of Hamas, the final pieces of the military infrastructure in those tunnels, and those Hamas command centers could be taken out, not just weakened, but finally destroyed. And fourth, Israel could begin permanently reshaping Gaza. And let me explain what that could mean. Targeted deportations of Hamas affiliates, new security zones controlled by the Israeli forces, and a permanent Israeli military presence inside Gaza. The big one, the total deportation of Gazans. But none of these decisions have officially been made. But they're all possible outcomes. And Israel's war cabinet, I'm sure, is actively discussing them as we speak. And their response will depend on how Hamas reacts by that deadline. Now I want to hit the bigger picture. Trump's ultimatum, in my opinion, isn't just about the hostages. It's about changing the entire landscape of the war. And if Hamas doesn't comply, we could see a permanent shift in how Gaza is controlled. I believe that Trump means what he says. And the longer Hamas holds out, the more realistic it becomes that Gaza's population will get moved. Jordan's already caved. Egypt will follow. They give them over $1.5 billion as well. And the pressure on the other Arab states will also be massive, especially those oil-rich states who've got plenty of land and money. And what happens if Israel does take permanent control of Gaza? Well, could be looking at Jewish communities being built in Gaza. And then the IDF could maintain a security presence long-term, and Gaza will just get completely restructured and redeveloped. But again, we don't have those answers yet. But one thing is clear. If Hamas ignores Trump's deadline, the war doesn't just continue. The entire region shifts. Hakol mishtane, like we say in Hebrew. Everything changes. So here's where I'm at. Saturday at noon. Hamas has a choice. If they return the hostages, they might buy themselves some time. But if they don't, Israel has a ton of very hard-hitting options. Could shut off and kill that aid, cut off the utilities, and could escalate the war to a level Hamas cannot handle. But whatever happens next, this is going to be a defining moment for Gaza's future. Remember, you guys aren't going to get a breakdown like this anywhere else. If you want that real story, do me a favor, subscribe, share, and comment below. I'm going to come back to this as we get closer to the Saturday deadline. If there's new developments, I'm going to turn on the mic and I'm going to come back to you guys. I want to thank you guys for watching this one. Do me a favor. If you're a fan of the show, hit the link down in the description and help support the show and join my Season 1 sponsorship team. Grab yourself a mini sponsorship package down at the link and help me fight this mission of combating that garbage anti-Israel misinformation that's out there. Join my mission. Let's keep fighting this thing together. Going to come back to this as it develops. Want to thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the support. We're completely independently produced here, and we're paid for by you, the viewers, and the fans, and my sponsors. Appreciate you guys. I'm Aaron Cohen. You're watching The Aaron Cohen Show, and I will see you on the next one.